Hi, my name is Michael with Power Sports Wraps, and today we are going to show you how to install a carbon fiber dash kit on a Spyder. It's really a very simple process. These being so pre-cut make it very easy. Just kind of line up the shape and stick. So what I have here is a clean paper towel, just any ordinary kitchen paper towel will do, and rubbing alcohol. Rubbing alcohol is what we're primarily going to use to clean the surface where we are applying the dash kit. So go ahead and give it a nice scrub. If you have Armor All on it, or if you've prepped it with something, take extra time in doing this step. You want to make sure that the surface is free of any kind of contaminants, that it's nice and tacky, that it's not slippery like Armor All and different things make it. After all, we want this dash kit to stick and stay for a long time. So after that is prepped and ready, we're going to take one of the 3M adhesive promoter pads and take it out of here and apply it to the surface. Now you just want to make sure that you kind of keep it in the lines. You don't want to kind of go out over things here toward the edge, because you will kind of see a hazy area where this stuff lands. This is very, very effective at making things stick. It works very well, and we just kind of want to apply it almost sparingly. You don't need a ton of it to make it work. It does its job very well. So we're going to do a little there, just a couple little dots through here. Can't forget about our mirrors. The mirrors, I would go a little bit more on the mirrors, just because that's kind of a narrow piece as it comes out to the end there. So get that nice and good there as well. We're going to set that aside for other areas where we may need more of it. Also too, you're going to want to make sure that your hands are clean, free of any grease or anything like that. Then pick the piece that we're going to start with here. Start with our mirror piece. I have just a standard razor blade in my hand that I'm going to use to peel the backing paper off of the adhesive. Sometimes this can be a pain to get up here. There we go. Okay, now we do not want to touch the adhesive unless we absolutely have to. Sometimes in handling the product you have to, but if otherwise you don't have to, that's better. And once we've put that adhesive promoter on here, we're going to take our little pattern here, line it up, make sure everything looks good. And once you stick this, you're not going to have a chance to move it around. So you want to make sure that it is exactly where you want it to stay. And basically the way I like to do this here is I put down the one side and I'm holding the other side up. Okay? That way I can kind of guide, because this is somewhat flexible still. I can guide where I want this to go. I want it to go right through the middle. Okay. Just like that. And try not to kind of push it around as you're pushing it down, because that can still move it until this kind of gets tacked up. You just want to take your thumbs really and press in a couple areas here. And we're also going to go back and heat it and push it down with a soft cloth once we're done. So that is the first piece done. The next piece I want to do here requires a little bit of heat. It's going to go right here to the left of the speaker, and if we see, this is curved. When you apply heat to the product, it makes it flexible, and we can actually kind of bend it, and it'll stay like that, and it'll sink into that curve nicely. So I'm going to peel the backing paper and then heat it, and then we'll install. One thing that you'll notice is the heat makes the adhesive all the more tackier. So you want to be careful with this piece and make sure that you get it lined up as good as possible. I'm going to start with the corner where it meets the peak here. I'm going to kind of work it down just a little bit at a time, lining it up exactly where I want it to be. If you see I'm kind of pressing down as I'm going here, guiding it into position. The kit is relatively flexible, so you can kind of move it, maneuver it to be perfectly straight. So just like that, and then I'm going to go back here, and before this cools down too much, I'm going to push into this curve. And that makes sure that the adhesive gets a nice, good tack in that curve before it starts cooling down and kind of wanting to return back to its shape. But we've prepped it so well that the adhesive is going to really hold it there well. So the next piece that we have is kind of bigger, and what we like to do with these bigger pieces like this is dry set them, so to speak. So don't peel the backing paper. Set it into position where we want it to go. Kind of look at it, see where everything's going to fall. Maybe you'll need to start with the base up a little bit or the base down a little bit depending on the piece. So we're going to take it and see how it's fitting. This looks pretty good. We're going to have to bend this top a little bit though to make it perfect, and that's no problem. So we're going to peel it and again apply a little bit of heat mainly on that piece that we have to stretch a little bit. We would probably do it without it, but heat just makes it all the easier. Now we use a standard heat gun, but there would be nothing wrong with using a hairdryer to do this step, to heat it and get it ready. You may have to stay in one area a little bit longer, as hairdryers do not put out as much heat as heat guns do, but that would work just as well. So we're kind of going to do the same thing we did, working just a little piece at a time, pushing it down. I'm going to go up over the handlebars like this, then come back to this arm here, and we're going to do this just like we did this piece, just pushing it down in little increments as we go. Alright, went down perfectly. So the next piece that we're going to do comes around the gauge pod like this, the left piece. And this one doesn't look like it's curved at all, so I'm not even going to use any heat at the moment to put this down. It should lay nice and flat all by itself. So again, peel the backing paper off this little part here. This one I'm going to start at the top. The reason being is there's more of a defined line of where it goes rather than down here where it kind of fades out flat. And I want to make sure that I get it positioned as good as possible. So, sticking that up there. Again, starting from the one side and working it around. So I'm going to take this up like this. Just like that. With how good these pieces fit, it really makes it easy to do this. Not a lot of maneuvering is really necessary. The next piece I have goes around the main gauges itself. It's a little bit of a bigger piece, but still doesn't look like it's going to be much of an issue. We're going to dry set it and see exactly how it wants to fit, which looks pretty much like that right there. I'm going to take my razor blade and peel it. Razor blade just makes it a little bit easier than using your fingernail to peel it. Okay, so I'm going to put this around here like that, and I'm going to start by lining up the bottom. I'm going to tack this bottom left corner into place and kind of just let go of that left piece. And I'm going to work around the center here, pushing it down into place as we go. I'm going to tack down that right corner. working up the right side, just like so. Now the left corner we left up, so we're going to come back to this one, just pushing it down nicely into place, then lining it up with that screw hole right there. Beautiful. And around there. And that is the main piece on. The next piece that we have is a little bit bigger, and there's a curve to it. It has a slope right here. So we want to, again, dry set this. Make sure that we like where it is fitting. It looks like this piece here is going to need a little bit of heat. So we're going to peel it, heat it up, and get it nice and flexible. Slide it into position. Okay, so this piece I'm going to kind of hold up the left piece. As I install this, I'm going to center it as if I'm only working with this piece here. Get it into place. Alright, I like that there. Going to push that down. Now with this little, call it a leaf here, how it hangs down, what we're going to do is kind of bend it at this little joint here, and then work our way along across the top here, just kind of pushing it into place, just a little bit at a time here, working it into that curve. And then we're just going to come out like that. Alright. Good. Okay, looks good. We're going to move to the other side and complete the installation. So we want to do the same thing. Take our adhesive promoter pad, just kind of wipe down in here where these parts are going to go roughly. And then around our mirrors. Okay. Looks good. When we're going to start with the mirror again. Have it peeled. And we'll come over here, center it how we like it. Set it in place and just kind of walk it around the mirror frame. Just like that. The next piece that we're going to do requires a little bit of heat. So we're going to heat up the piece that's going to go to the right of the gauge pod. Enough here, so I'm going to put a little bit of a bend to it, kind of get it in there, get that started, line up with our left hand side, and just slowly work it into this curve here, like so.